Now, this is not the first time that I've received a message like this, where I need to start embracing my flaws a little bit better so that I can reincorporate the whole of me into the being that I am now, so that I can live more fully and be 100% present and honest in any given situation. So when it comes to spiritual development, there is this strong preference for positive emotions. I mean, you go to pretty much any spiritual teacher and they will teach you about the power of positive thinking and the power of, being happy and all these other things. But I think it's also important to mention that negative emotions play a very valuable and integral role in your spiritual development. There's a reason why we have negative and positive emotions. So it's probably not a good idea to necessarily dismiss your negative emotions and try to force a positive emotion in their place. What you really need to do is start to figure out what exactly that negative emotion is and then start processing through it. I recently watched a video by Teal Swan, and I really enjoyed what she said in her video, that negative emotions are an indication that there is an aspect of yourself that you pushed away at some point in your life. Now, for me, the aspect that I've been recognizing lately is my vulnerability. And it's not surprising to me that I pushed away my vulnerability at a very young age. I had a lot of struggles during that time, and I don't exactly know when exactly I started to do that, but I do know that I struggle with expressing my hurt or even my positive emotions to a certain degree, because I learned a long time ago that being vulnerable and expressing those things could end up hurting me even more. Now, this is not the first time that I've received a message like this, where I need to start embracing my flaws a little bit better so that I can reincorporate the whole of me into the being that I am now, so that I can live more fully and be 100% present and honest in any given situation. But it's not exactly an easy thing to do. And one of the most interesting and simultaneously most frustrating aspects of personal development is that you're never done. Oftentimes you will feel like you've processed through an entire emotion, or you've processed through some particular lesson, and you're like, oh, thank God, I'm done with that. Now I don't have to suffer anymore. Only to realize that there is an entirely new layer that you didn't even know existed when you started this particular path. So yes, it's exciting because there's always more to learn, but it's irritating because you're never done. And I have dealt with that on many, many occasions. But I can say that I'm much happier with the person I am now than I have ever been in the past, and I will probably say the same thing at some point in the future, because new lessons will have been incorporated, and I'll be like, yeah, but even compared to the person I was back then when I made this video, I enjoy who I am so much more. I feel like I'm living a more productive life and things like that. But through watching this video, and actually through reading this book called The Queen's Code, I recognized that I really needed to start embracing my vulnerable side again, expressing my emotions to the people in my life. And there were 3 main relationships where I saw this as absolutely necessary. And I'm not going to really tell you much about those relationships because I don't want to encroach on the privacy of those individuals, but suffice it to say that all of these relationships slightly suffered due to my lack of vulnerability, and that I felt it was necessary to express certain things to each of them. One of the relationships was a closure issue where I needed to express my emotions so that I could finally move forward. Another one was kind of an abandonment issue where I needed to express my desire and need for the individual to be in my life. And the third was a resentment issue where I had been feeling resentment towards this individual for a long time, and it was time that I start dealing with that, so that I could move forward in the relationship and not hurt it any further. Since this discovery of these three particular relationships where I needed to express my vulnerability, I have talked to all three at this point. One, the abandonment one, is a little bit more complicated than the other two because I don't actually know him particularly well, but he's a close family member. And so what I've been trying to do is instead just being present and allowing our relationship to grow a little bit. I don't feel it's necessary to get angry at him or, accuse him of abandoning me. I doubt he would even see it as abandonment because, he was never really invited into my life before. So, it's not shocking that he continued to remain outside my life. Which is part of the reason why I'm like, okay, so it's kind of up to me at this point to move that relationship forward. But through expressing these emotions to these individuals, I do find that I'm a little frustrated with how long the road ahead of me is. And I know that, at least in two of these situations, the process is only just getting started. And that even if I dealt with all of these relationship issues, I still would have a long road ahead of me because I also want to learn to express my vulnerability more fully in everyday life. I want to be able to say ouch when somebody hurts me and just be honest and express that hurt without feeling the need to fight back or, punch them in return, emotionally speaking. I used to be a puncher when I was little, in the physical sense, and since then I have long since turned somewhat pacifist. But I do find that emotional punching can hurt just as much, if not more, than physical harm. So it's definitely necessary to start embracing that vulnerable aspect of myself so that I'm no longer hurting people in my attempts to defend myself against whatever it is they said that was potentially hurtful. So when it comes to vulnerability and the further emotions that come with that, like the resentment and the feeling of abandonment, it was really valuable for me to recognize that each of those negative emotions was sending me some kind of message. And in this case, all of those messages were pointing back to my vulnerable side. But I have had many occasions where I've received messages through my negative emotion and then looked into my life and went, well, what exactly is going on to cause this emotional state? And then I went in and started to deal with whatever the issue was. And I find that every time that I sort through one of these emotions or sort through one of these potential issues, that I receive a level of freedom far beyond what I ever expected to get. Every time I process through one of these emotions, I feel like my heart gets bigger. I feel like the world gets bigger. My sense of hope increases. I become much more of an optimist, which may be impressive to some of you, as I tend to be quite an optimist as it is. But I can tell you that I used to be quite the pessimist. So it's been a very, very long process for me. But there are a few words of caution. If you're wanting to start processing through your negative emotions as well and start reincorporating the aspects of yourself that you have separated from. And that is that you need to be really cautious when you start to sift and process through these emotions because you might not necessarily translate them correctly. Given the situation of resentment, I totally could have taken that message and went, oh, this means I should end that relationship. I should cut all ties and I shouldn't have this person in my life anymore. So you can take a negative emotion and translate it incorrectly. So you need to be really careful. I can pretty much guarantee you that in most situations, whatever it is you're feeling has more to do with you than it does the person that you are interacting with or the person that you have a particular issue with. And that the only way to actually separate yourself from, or the only way to actually incorporate and heal from that negative emotional state is going to happen within the relationship. And you might choose to leave the relationship after you've sorted through that whole issue. But it's kind of like Abraham Hicks says, if you end a relationship, you're just going to take yourself with you. So if you end up in a new relationship, it might very well be presented in exactly the same way because you haven't processed through the emotions yet. So be cautious when you're trying to translate messages, and be aware that you might get it wrong sometimes, and be ready to change your interpretation a little bit so that you can really start to heal and grow and become the kind of person that you really want to be. And once you start to incorporate these emotions back into your life, you will start to recognize the true value that each of them offers. Your negative emotions are some of your most powerful allies because they are working with you to create the best life that you can possibly have. So I really want you to understand that you should be grateful for your negative emotions. And I know that that's not exactly an easy thing to do. I struggle with my negative emotions at times, and I definitely view them as antagonists every now and then, because when you're stuck in the negative emotion, you're like, can you just go away? I'm tired of this. But once you get the message right, usually you'll know, because you'll have a sense of relief. Like your body will finally go like, oh, thank God you listened. You finally understand what I'm saying. And then the emotion will actually alleviate rather quickly. If you don't act on it, though, the emotion will return. So you do need to keep in mind that your body will expect you to start resolving these issues, and it will not leave you alone. So keep in mind that your negative emotions are trying to help you, and that your positive emotions are your indicator that you have the message translated correctly and that you are moving down the correct path. But that is everything that I have for you today. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that you learned something from it. If nothing else, I hope it reminded you that you shouldn't push against your emotional states. There's value in every aspect of you, and that the whole person is far more important than any of the parts. So keep working with yourself, keep forgiving, keep allowing life to unfold before you, and you'll start to recognize the power of this kind of transformation. If you like these videos, make sure you head on over to my Patreon page and become a financial supporter for me. I really appreciate having people over there helping me create the life that I want for myself, and helping me to also help them and you, because I view this process as my life's work. I want to help other people achieve the life that they want. I want to help people grow and move forward and understand themselves in the world. And support, particularly financial support, is a big step in the right direction, and a big step in my future plans and goals for this channel, and further development of, say, like the community that I discussed in one of the previous videos. So head on over to Patreon and donate $5 a month. And then make sure that you like this video, and click that subscribe button just so that you have ready access to all of my videos. And I even recommend clicking on the notification bell so that you're informed when new videos are posted. You can also leave a comment below, particularly if you didn't understand something in this video, or you have a thought that should be added, or whatever the case may be. Definitely leave a comment. Let me know what you thought. And I will see you again soon. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Talk to you later. Bye.